What's going on, Gucci Gang? So today I'm going to Idaho, but we're driving halfway. I'm driving with my parents, going for a wedding and to see Grandma Argon. But I gotta submit the JBC Baby debut to Audio Erotica Records, which is Aaron Wallace's record label. It's kind of an interesting thing. So a little bit of backstory on JBC. It was kind of like, oh, maybe I make it a secret thing. And I don't think I'm going to like promote it like on social media, but Kim Every Day is different, y'all. So I don't know. I like sit back. I've always been a fan of house and techno. Big time. I listen to house and techno way more than I listen to dubstep or drum and bass I like a lot, and I've listened to a lot of drum and bass, but I've been listening to like trance and house longer and more than drum and bass for sure. But I've just like never made it. I've made it a couple times, like everybody knows. If you know the Big Chocolate catalog, there's definitely like a lot of house songs and maybe some techno kind of like influence stuff like Zoom. Maybe it was, I can't remember when. I think it was at the beginning of 2023, perhaps. I was working out a lot, and I was like, making a lot of bass music and listening to it in my headphones. And I was like really more into like listening to up-tempo techno. And kind of before this too, like in Texas, where I didn't really vlog hardly at all, I DJ'd. I had 2 residencies, and there was also like just a lot of DJing in general. And house was like a big component of this, and I was really into it. And there was a couple after hours things where like the style was like more minimal deep tech. So I was like pretty into house and pretty good at it, DJing wise and refining my tastes and whatnot. And I probably got into like house more as an adult. I think when I was like 23, I played in Seattle and there was an after party, and I never went to after parties, but the after party was like, I don't know, 5 minutes from where I live. So I was like, well, if I don't like it, I'll just leave. And I got there and I met my buddy Sam, and Sam was like jamming like basically like minimal deep tech tracks, and like I just kind of heard it in a new way, because at the time I was really into minimal trap, and it kind of spoke to like what I was craving out of minimal trap, like minimal elements, big bass, a couple little elements here and there. And then I played Movement Music Festival in Detroit, and there I saw like a lot of it was really like Brodinsky's set that like set it off for me, where I was like, oh wow, like look at what these guys are doing, like this is like what I want to be doing, but it's more like a part of the culture. I was like using a laptop and stuff, and looking back, I definitely got it and I was killing it, but I just really wanted to be a part of what they were doing more than what I was doing. And I just felt like because I didn't grow up in that culture, I didn't really understand up until that point. So that's kind of a rabbit hole, but anyways, I started making techno tracks, kind of inspired by seeing 999999999 in Austin when I was there visiting once after I lived there. And it was just like banging hard techno, but like it was like hard style, but had like a techno structuring to it, and like kind of had like those old hardcore like vocal samples, and it was really, 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 really good. So later on, I was just like, let me make some of this stuff. And I was kind of like really inspired by like the chopped and screwed, pitched, repetitive vocals, and just kind of like whatever techno vibe I can get out of my speakers at the time. So I started making it. I didn't have a name for it. And then Aaron and Jeremy and I were all hanging out a lot more, and they were starting this label, and they were getting into techno, and they were making their second circle project. And I started showing them demos that I thought were like straight up trash, and they were like, yo, this is sick. Like you need to pursue this. So I kind of kept up with it. Every time I was like kind of like my shit sounds whack, they were like, no dude, like this is awesome. Nothing sounds like this right now. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And I was floating around a bunch of name ideas, and they started calling it JBC Baby, so JBC Baby stuck. And, I put out a couple tracks with them, a single on their comp and another single on their second comp. And now that I have Big Slime, it's kind of like that's really what JBC Baby really needed, in my opinion, was the kind of that analog glue and the analog saturation and just like that analog vibe. So I've cooked up a bunch of songs, but I don't have that much time to like finalize them or work on them or really anything right now, because I'm leaving and I'm doing a million things right now. So I just like, these all sound good. I've like jammed the hell out of all of these, so I'm gonna master them now. So that's kind of what this is. This is a JBC Big Slime mastering session. This is actually like one of the first songs I made. And I'm not gonna move the EQ at all. Like, I feel like if I was really like getting into the nitty gritty of master, I think if the EQ was like right here, I could mess with it, but like, I just don't want to deal with it. I just want to set it and forget it and just kind of like go out. I mean, I mixed it going off the vibe of the EQ. It's like this stuff is much more about like the vibe the song gives versus like the technical aspects of like where frequencies are hitting. It's like my logic is like if I put this on at a party and it's like, then it's gonna be like, you know what I'm saying? So I got quite a bit. The only thing I'm really gonna be adjusting on these is the threshold of the compressor and then how much gain I'm driving into the clipper. But other than that, I'm probably gonna keep everything pretty much the same. But anyways, that's what I'm doing. JBC Baby, Audio Erotica Records. This thing comes out in I think August, so it should be good. Again, I don't really know how I'm gonna promote it yet or get it out there, but I think this is the record to do it. So, peace.